Here he is, the great Charles Barkley on the Comcast Business Hotline. Bounce forward. Chuck, what's up?
Man, let me tell you something. I told Tyrone, I give you $1 million to be in Philly right now with this quarterback thing going on, because I know those phones are going crazy right now.
Well, yeah, except there's going to be 10 inches by tonight, so I don't think you want to be in Philly.
No, listen, just to listen to people's opinion for the last couple of weeks, I would love to be in the room with you. I ain't lying. Because listen, I know how Philly is, man. And I know it is on fire right now for you guys.
Oh, you are absolutely right. It is craziness going on right now, and we'll get to that. But it's amazing. The bubble just ended, and you're back already with the season.
Yeah, but you know what I told them, brothers? You know, they were complaining. I was on a couple phone calls with them. They're talking about no rest time, Christmas holidays. I said, those are pretty good reasons, but you either got A or B. You want to get paid or you don't want to get paid. So there was a very quick answer once I said that. Hey, Mike, they're playing basketball. People done lost their jobs because of the pandemic. I told them to shut the hell up and make millions of dollars. That was a no-brainer.
But you're also back at it. Usually, you get a little bit of rest.
Yeah, but listen, man, I'm never going to complain. Listen, this pandemic is the worst thing ever happened in our lifetime. All these people done lost their jobs. They done lost their businesses. I told these guys, man, shut the hell up. You look like a fool whining about, wait, I only got a month vacation, and I'm going to go back to make millions of dollars. Come on, Mike. Listen, you have to be a fool to be talking like that, talking about these guys. These guys like, I need a vacation. No, you need a job, fool.
I got you. All right, let's touch on the Sixers because it's a new squad. I mean, they made some moves. They needed to increase their shooting. They changed coaches with Doc Rivers. They ran some pick and roll last night, which I haven't seen in a while. What do you think about the new look?
Well, it's still going last year when I want to punch you in your head, you were telling me it was going to come down to milkshake. I'm like, what? You said no. You actually had the audacity to bring up Milkshake and other guys like that. I'm like, man, the Sixers gonna go as far as Ben and Joel take them. Those guys, listen, you can put me and you out there with those guys. If those two guys do what they're supposed to do, the Sixers are gonna be a serious contender. They are, plain and simple.
All right, but they didn't have what they brought in this year as far as wings. They brought in Danny Green. They brought in Seth Curry. They didn't have that dynamic last year. And Doc says he's going to run pick and roll with Joel and Ben Simmons. Ben, by the way, did not take a shot last night, Charles. So I'm just –
Hey, that's consistency. That means how many years in a row he hasn't taken jumpers. That's consistency.
All right, so did they do enough, do you think, to make up for the lack of him being able to shoot the basketball by adding a couple wing shooters?
Well, listen, I don't know the answer to that question yet. Those guys are good players, but it's still going to come down to Ben and Joel. If those guys do their thing, the Sixers going to have a really good team. I mean, we're talking about whether they're going to win the championship or not. We got a long way to go. Those guys got to make a shot every now and then.
All right.
Ben and Joel. Okay, let's take the Eastern Conference right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the only team I can say that's going to be better than the Sixers is Milwaukee. I think 99.9% of people in the world going to take Milwaukee to win the East. Correct?
Mm-hmm. They're the favorite. Well, they say I just looked at the odds in Vegas. Let me tell you where it stands right now as far as how they rank this East. Milwaukee is first. The Nets are second in the odds. And then you go with the Heat, and then the Celtics are ahead of the Sixers.
No, I don't think the Heat and the Celtics are better than the Sixers. I don't believe that. Now, let me tell you something. I am praying that the Nets get James Harden because I want to see that train wreck live and in color. It would be the most fascinating Housewives of reality show. I don't think it's going to happen, But if they get James Harden, I think it would be a fascinating train wreck watching those three guys try to survive with each other in New York with that media. I want to see that.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But let me flip it now because the Sixers are also have been rumored. He wants to play with the Sixers. I'll ask you straight out: Would you make a deal to acquire Harden if the cost was Simmons?
Well, see, my first question would be, I think what people are not talking about with James Harden, James is a great, great offensive player. He's the best one-on-one player I've ever seen. He's not as good as Michael and Kobe, but as far as being an offensive force, he's the best I've ever seen. When I said that 3 years ago, people said I was crazy. Now I hear everybody saying it. But, Mike, are you going to change your whole offense and play like Mike D'Antoni played him?
Well, I don't know if you'd have to do that because you've got that low post presence with him that creates a lot of space.
A lot of space.
Yeah,
they'll be driving into Joel Embiid. How's that creating?
My man's got 40-foot range. That's the kind of space I'm talking about. When they go low post to the top, they got shooters.
Nah, man. Listen, that's one of y'all problems. Y'all got Joel shooting threes.
No, Joel down low. Now you got three legitimate shooters. How many 3-point shots would they make with that lineup?
Yeah, but if Joel's in the lane, that's just going to clog up things for James.
Well, James doesn't drive every single time he's got the ball. He's got reason.
Well, he's a drive that shoots a step back three. Mike, the Sixers won't be better with James Harden. Listen, I need you to quit doing it, Mike.
I'm asking you for your expert opinion. So you're saying if Houston called the Sixers and said, we'll give you Harden for Ben, you're saying no?
Well, I think the Rockets would do that in a minute.
The Rockets would. I mean, the Sixers. I'm putting you in charge. Would you do it?
No.
Okay. All right.
Because I don't think – listen, James Harden is not going to change his game, Mike. James Harden is a great one-on-one basketball player. He's going to get the ball and go one-on-one every time. If they stop me, he's going to pass it to a three-point shooter. I don't think that was fun for guys in Houston. Well, you know why I know it wasn't fun for guys in Houston? Because, number one, it didn't work. And two guys, Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook, said, no, I don't want to be in this. I don't want to watch this dude dribble all night, and then we shoot threes all night. So they both bailed. So it didn't work in Houston, and he got a better big man in Joel Embiid. I'd rather have Joel if he's going to get his butt on the box and dominate, and he can get those guys better wide open shots than James. Because you got to jump. Listen,
Charles, 36-7. 36-7.
What do you mean?
36.7 assists every night.
And then in the playoffs, what happened?
Well, listen, they weren't good enough to win in the playoffs. That team wasn't good enough to win in the playoffs. This is a more balanced team. All right, well, you said no. All right, so we'll move on. You said no. They're better off the way they are. I like it. All right, now let me move into football because you seem to have some interest in this whole situation with Hurts taking over. You've been following us from afar. What did you think of this whole situation?
Well, I think, number one, Carson Wentz has not played well. That's the first thing you got to say. He has not played well. But then you got to be fair, saying the offensive line been out all year, and the receivers have been out all year. All three of those things are true, plain and simple. Carson has not played well. The offensive line, the injuries have taken their toll, and he hasn't had any wide receivers. But the elephant in the room is you can't get rid of him. He's too much on the cap.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to fix the line and see. Now you give him a chance with a fair line and wide receivers. Then if he's still playing bad, you got to move on.
All right, so he's your starter. Let me tell you where Philadelphia is right now. There is Wentz hate in the air, and Jalen Hurts has become the savior. So here's the thing. If they play well for the rest, if he plays well the rest of the year, and the Eagles somehow find a way to win this division with Hurts as the quarterback, you know the sentiment's going to be next year that Hurts has to be the starter.
Yeah, but he can't. What? So you're going to eat that $35 million?
I don't know. I don't know what they can do. But you know this town. If they hand the job back to Wentz, what?
Ain't nobody gonna have a guy making $37 million sitting on the bench.
I got you. That's the problem.
That's not gonna happen in any shape or form whatsoever.
So it doesn't matter to you how.
You guys haven't given him a lot to work with.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree. I'm thinking that Wentz has to be the quarterback because of the reasons you just said it. But you know the way this town is. If Hurts wins them over, then Wentz doesn't get a fair shot to play next year because they're all Hurtsed up.
Yeah, but listen. First of all, I'm not. Listen, if Hurts plays great, he should keep the job. I 100% agree with that. But you're not going to pay a guy 37, 35, 37, whatever the cap hit is. You're not going to have a guy sitting on the bench making $35 million.
So you're saying they would have to eat that as a dead cap hit and move him?
Yeah, but let me tell you something. If they do that, and hey, I didn't realize Jalen Hurts had played like a whole season. I didn't realize he hadn't played but one game. The way everybody's talking, he had one really good game. But now, if you cut Wentz or trade Wentz and Jalen Hurts is not the answer, your franchise is set back 5 years minimum.
Listen, I got you. I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, but I'm taking the pulse of this town here right now, and Wentz, his stock is way down, and the other guy is way up. Like he's come in to rescue this season. So we'll see what that does for the offseason if they somehow get in the playoffs.
But you know what the problem is? This is really not a fair, because even if the Eagles, listen, I have no idea who's going to win this division. But whoever wins this division, it is number one, it's fool's gold. You got to at least admit that.
Yes. Yeah,
there's
no
whoever wins
question.
this division is fool's gold. So everything, it might look shiny and they might get a home game, but you got to be realistic. Whoever wins the NFC East, it's a battle above attrition.
Yeah, I got you. So the Charles Barkley view is, even if Hurts plays well the rest of the year, Wentz has to be your starter for next year, and then you roll the same.
Because listen, it ain't about being fair either. It's just about common sense. But listen, let's get one thing straight. Jalen's probably a better fit for this offensive line because of all the injuries. Because Carson, he was not comfortable back there. And listen, Jalen is a terrific young little when it comes to scrambling and things like that. So he's probably a better fit for this offensive line. But the question is, man, he's only played one game. If you trade or cut Carson and then he's not the answer, your franchise is in trouble for the next X amount of years.
It's whether this town, then. We overreact like nobody's business. One game is enough for a lot of people.
Well, I tell you what, though, it's a big game this weekend because Arizona's in a must-win situation. You guys going to come out here and get some sunshine. If he can win another game, then listen. First of all, he's only started one game. Let's see how the rest of the season play out before we even have a serious conversation.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right, let me move on because I want to get to this. I tried to get you before the match happened, but you must have been concentrating real hard on the golf match where you're paired up with Phil, and everybody saw it on TV. You swung the club smoothly without the hitch. How did you pull it off?
Mike, I've been hired. I met a new teacher, Stan Utley. I'm coming out of this funk I've been in. Nobody has worked harder than me. Nobody. I've been hitting balls and playing 5 or 6 hours a day for the last 4 or 5 months. Nobody has worked harder than me. Nobody. And I'm coming out of this funk, Mike. I'm not totally fixed 100%, but I'm real close to being a good golfer again.
Well, listen, I think most people were relieved to see that you didn't have that hitch because a lot of people were, getting pains over that hitch. And I know you've tried to work it for years to get rid of it. I mean, Hank Haney had you out there for 10 hours a day. So what finally clicked in? Was it a mental thing with you?
It was clearly mental, but I think the difference is, me and Hank would hit golf balls like 10 hours a day. Stan makes me play golf. He makes me play golf more. He said we don't hit a lot of balls, but we play golf every single day. We hit 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour sometime, but we really go play golf. He says, yo, man, you got to go play golf. You're scared to play golf. He says, you're not scared on the range because there's no flags, there's no trouble on the left or right. He says, you can practice as much as you want to, but let's go play golf, and then when you have to hit shots. And I think that's the biggest difference. Well,
listen, you came through. I know you had Phil as your partner, reading every inch of every green. So it's kind of like unfair. And those guys weren't at their best. But, listen, you pulled it off. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, brother. I've been working on it, though, Mike. I put a lot of time and effort into it. I'm not going to lie.
All right, man. We'll look forward to seeing you back on the NBA show with the fellas as the season starts. Stay in touch, man. We weren't able to.
Hey, man, I'm high on the Sixers. I'm high. Listen, I told you. You told me that list. Milwaukee and Brooklyn, I would put the Sixers third on that list.
All right.
I really would.
I think a lot of people are pleased to hear that.
Yeah, I'm a Sixers fan, so I'm really excited. But listen, don't do the James Harden thing, man. Don't mess up your team.
All right. You got it, Chuck. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Okay, be safe.
All right, man. There he is, Charles Barkley.
Mike Missanelli, afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.